Men.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Igagam, the boldest man in Kampala, because Colin tried, but it just couldn't work. But we're still with him, we still care for him, and we're going to make sure that his boldness will increase. Now, we're here at Sanga Courts, and today we are talking about women, specifically Ugandan women. Now, Ugandan women have been known to be extremely fertile, but that fertility is going down. Should it be a cause for concern for a lot of men like me? I'm saying it's okay. We're already too many Ugandans. The fewer we are, the more resources, so it works for us. But there are others like Chris who say, according to the Bible, we're supposed to go out and multiply. So, we are lucky to have a doctor in the house. And I'll have you know, we have a very interesting Asiimwe thing going on. Because we've got Frank Asiimwe and Colin Asiimwe.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's their show.
It's their show. So, equal representation. And on top of that, Dr. Frank is an Arsenal fan. He's a Gunner. And for those of you out there who know the power of being a Gunner, it's that Gunners are the most loyal human beings on the face of this earth. Doesn't matter what you throw at them, they just keep gunning.
I just really think it's the pain threshold is high.
Yeah, that's also true.
Okay. Chris, I'll start with you. All right.
They've come close.
Well, we'll get there. Aluta continua. Now, Chris, biblically, we are meant to multiply. At least that's what a lot of people quote from the Bible. We're meant to go forth and multiply. It's one of the first things we're told to do, and including multiplying people. Now, there has been a decline in terms of fertility. Do you think it's a social issue, an economic issue, or just women, they're just out of it?
Well, I don't think that infertility is only an issue of women. It's both sides. It's possible for something to be off with the body of a woman. It's also possible for something to be off with the body of a man. Low sperm count, the doctor is here, he will tell us, but you know, you need a certain sperm count to be able to cause a female to conceive. Okay, so there's that. And yes, there are many issues that come with having children. There's been a lot of effort for the last 30-something years promoting family planning. That's got to have a knock-on effect, because I remember, I think the other census, the fertility rate was about 7 children per woman. I think now it's down to 4.5. I think, again, Dr. Frank will let us know, but I think it's about 4.5, which is still quite high.
No.
If you look at other nations, if you look at France and countries like that, it's nearly negative. Yeah. They started by replacing one child, and now some of them, it's sort of like reversing. But the thing I want to say is that, like all things about human beings, we can't sort of put it in a box. And I'm sure as the conversation goes on, we're going to realize that there's many angles to it. I know people who want to have children and have not been able to have children. I know a couple that tried to have children for 12 years. They got lucky in the 12th year. So sometimes when you see people not having children, it's very easy to judge, to say they just are not interested, or the guy doesn't care, or the woman is infertile. I know a couple, for example, where the parents were pushing, have children, and when they went to do the test, again, doctors can be able to tell. The problem was the guys, not the lady. The lady was fertile, the guy was infertile. His sperm count was low, and there had to be ways to go around it. So I feel like we need to approach this conversation with grace, just with an understanding, because it's very easy for us to pontificate and say it's so-and-so's problem or the other's problem, and we are not mindful of the issues that people are really dealing with. Because there's people who really want to have kids, and there's people who don't want to have kids at all, and there's people who have had very few kids and they're being told that you haven't multiplied, you just replaced yourselves. And there are others who have had like 65.
Like the pineapple
I don't know how they do it. So Welcome to Uganda.
Well, but Frank, I want to you to speak into this, because statistically, fertility talks about women.
No.
Yes, the fertility rate is pegged on women. I could be wrong. All right, and I'll let him correct me. But right now, Chris has alluded to it. There's now a huge social angle about not having children. One of them is money. A lot of women say, "Oh, I can't have a child with a broke guy." Okay. Yet some of us, when we were growing up, that was not the conversation. Yeah. I mean, really, if that was the case. Anyway, let me keep it that way. All right. So,
the break.
Is there also a medical element to it that's bringing down the fertility rate? Could it be our food or that kind of thing?
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. First of all, I'm glad to be on the set and to talk about this conversation. I'm a consultant urologist at the Mulago National Referral Hospital, and one of my interests is andrology.
You just lost Colin.
Yeah,
there.
I'll grab him I'll grab him and bring him along. In urology, we've got 8 further branches. I'll just mention 2, andrology being one, and transplant being the other. Those are my 2 babies that I like. When you say fertility and look at it in terms of gender, unfortunately, the woman is the one who can produce evidence. She's the one who can bear the child. And that is the first evidence of fertility. Otherwise, they don't know about the periods, they don't know about your ejaculation, whether you can erect or otherwise. So the only evidence that comes in the public is a child being born. And so that's why it's kind of tagged to the women, and therefore it says number of children per woman.
So I'm right.
Yes, you are. But you now I see you load your questions. When you say just fertility, it's for both. But when you talk of fertility rate, then it is the lady who can produce the evidence.
School is in session.
So, having said that, fertility, or let's now break it down to the basics. Conception is contributed by the 2 persons, the male and the female. Infertility at that level, failure to conceive, and again I must talk about failure to conceive. We can only declare the couple to have failed to conceive if for the last 12 months, it's going to be the last 12 months, they've been having unprotected sex with the intention to conceive, and regularly, where the regularity is between 2 and 3 times a week. So if you have been living
156.
Okay. If you have been living abroad and you just come once in 3 months, you can't quite say you failed to conceive. You've just not been around enough. Some people are lucky. They don't even have to think about it. But we give that period. I'll just talk about that before I go into the other aspect. We give the 12 months for several reasons. To have the trials, because remember the woman is fertile once a month. You can miss the window. But also, if you're looking at it in terms of family, and if you're talking about newlyweds, you want to build a social bond between the man and the woman before you begin investigating for infertility, for possible infertility. Because should you, in the first 2 months, and they're all pressures from society, in-laws, the girl's side, they begin asking you, has she begun vomiting? Is she? And this can happen within that 2nd month. Now, the relationship may not be able to take the hit should we, in the 4th month, discover that there is actually a problem. Either the woman cannot, they may throw her out, or the man cannot, that is even worse. So the 12 months is a bit of a cushion to strengthen your relationship, so that whatever news comes out, you can handle it together. In terms of absolute fertility, women contribute 50%. Men contribute 30%. Absolute. The 20% is shared. Either you're doing it the wrong way, or you're absent, you're not doing it regular enough, you're not depositing the material far enough, you are not waiting to bring her on board early enough. So that exchange constitutes the 20%. And in many couples, we're able to advise them about that 20%, and it can be closed, and then they are fertile. If we talk about the issues of the lady, it can be down to hormones, imbalances, it could be down to anatomy, Either there are no ovaries.
Anatomy, physical anatomy.
Physical anatomy of, not from the outside, but the anatomy of the reproductive system.
Reproductive organs.
Reproductive organs.
Because, just sorry to interrupt, you've heard of certain women having childbearing hips. Is that really a thing?
We are looking at the organs, and the hips are not part of the reproductive organs.
No, but you've all heard that. You've heard that, haven't you?
But Peter,
must
you go there?
No, I mean, okay.
You know, Peter walks around with these low IQ aphorisms, just throwing them around, thinking that they hold weight. Now, when the specialist is here, it's like,
Frank, haven't you heard of it?
You have heard of it.
That plays a role only in the attraction.
Okay.
Which is where Peter stopped.
Yes. Beyond that, the size of hips doesn't matter. And I can quickly say even the depth of the canal doesn't matter. And whatever organs surround it. You can say the words. I don't know how many children are watching this.
It's okay. This is above 18.
So the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, if they're blocked, the uterus, if it is biconate, or if it has fibroids, and the cervix, if it's blocked, the amount of lubrication that there is. So the anatomy around there. But I'm a urologist, not a gynecologist, so I won't venture too much in that area. I'll now come to the men. Now, the men, the ultimate, we'll say, and then work backwards, is the sperm count. The sperm count, we begin with the presence or absence of sperms. That is the most important thing. And I deal on a regular basis, at least 2 or 3 patients per week that I see with what we call azoospermia. It means the semen is there, there's the fluid, but there are no sperms. So what we see as ordinary persons is the semen, the fluid that is produced. But in that semen, in the fluid, there are sperms. They must be at the very least 15 million per mil.
It's a lot.
And they ejaculate on average about between 2 and 5 mils. Let's take the upper level. So upper level is 5 mils, and you're talking about minimum of 15 mils. That's about 75 million
chances.
And out of those, just one. The others are just arsenal fans cheering from Uganda with absolutely no effect.
Okay, very interesting. Now we do need to go into a break.
Let's not come back from the break.
We are here at Sanga Courts having a very interesting conversation about fertility. Are you one of those people who are Arsenal fans, or are you, who are the guys who won the trophy this last time?
We don't know, Peter.
A Liverpool fan. We'll be right back after the break.
Men. Men.
All right, welcome back from the break. In case you've just joined us, we are having an in-depth conversation about fertility. Now, Dr. Frank, you've been giving us a very realistic look about things. Now, Colin, I need an unrealistic look from your perspective. Is there a social angle where women are deciding to play safe so that they tick all the boxes medically, but they just don't want to have children with the men who are around?
Thank you very much for coming down here, Dr. Frank Asiimwe.
Yes, welcome.
And Peter, we always talk about, and I think on men, we're always cognizant of, you have to be aware and alert enough to the anecdotal. I know friends, I know people, and also be alive to the general populace, which is the statistic that you're talking about. Dr. Asiimwe has spoken very clearly about what the challenges are. But I think that there's several things that have happened in our society. So with the growth of urbanization, I think that the cost of living generally has gone up. And so the price of having kids, and it's not just having kids. So there's the price of having kids, there's delivering the children. So hospitals, hospital service, antenatal care, all of that. But then there's, when people then think about what the follow-on knock-on effect of that is, which is schools and healthcare and raising them, people are just like, this is wild, right?
And
but also we are also victims of our society's development. So this urbanization we're talking about means girls aren't giving birth at 18. because they have to do 16 years of school, right? So they come out of primary, they go into secondary, maybe they go into a PTC, maybe they go into an NTC, maybe they go into some sort of tertiary education. Whatever is happening, people are finishing school at 22, 23, 24, right? Which is so when you think about what the statistics you talk about of yesteryear, 6.8, 7.5 fertility rates, this is where a lot of the population was. It was loaded because people were starting to have kids early. If you move that out by 6 years, it's going to have an effect on, one, what the total quantum number of kids people can have, because it's delaying the age of sexual debut, and it's sort of changing how many. So one, how late you start, but that ultimately means how many kids you can have. So for me, my argument around this is this, that women are starting later to have kids, and as a result, they're having less kids. That's one. My second point around that is, and when you hear what Chris is saying, so the anecdotal evidence that I know what we've had is you have a lot more people getting these fibroids, these conditions that are big preventers and blockers of the journey to fertility. So you have people having, and I think they've always been there, but in African traditional society, if I was not able to have kids, Peter would come, father my kids, I would proudly own the kids.
Yeah.
Now, every time you sneeze like this, someone wants to do a DNA. So the idea of assisting your brother no longer holds. And so your brother
you make it sound like it's a bad thing.
I don't know, Peter, let the viewers decide.
Okay, all right.
But
Like, it's a good thing for you to go help him at home.
as you can see,
He's happy to help.
the heathens
I mean,
are among us.
Anyway,
First wait. So with, and of course with the nuclearization of society, so people have become very possessive of their wives. They become very possessive. So they are there suffering, but no one wants to say, hey, because even before you could bring your sister. If the challenge was in the family, we could go, maybe not Chris, but like Frank. We could go to Frank, and Frank's sister, who's my wife's sister, comes, and they're sisters, and we have a child, and then that child becomes a child of this home. Again, with the nuclearization, all of those things have sort of been stripped away. The third thing, I think, Peter, and this is a bit controversial.
Yeah.
I saw somewhere on the internet the other week that a broke guy is the same version of a fat chick. But like these internet people, they were just passing, they were sending their own things. But I want, so the message there is that the broke guy is undesirable, right? And I think that, again, this urbanization, standard of living, women have become very alive to the fact that love is not enough. People cannot eat love. They cannot survive on it. And so the guy has to demonstrate that he has the means to take care of me and our offspring. I think that what's happening more and more as the economy presses down on people are opting out, which has led to now, of course, married men being left to shoulder this burden.
But Colin, just on that, are we then saying, because ideally now there's more money in the world, and if I may take like Uganda, we're getting more access to money.
Yes.
Then are we saying that men are getting less access to money generally?
So Peter, there is things that you are not considering. So the money is there, the distribution is off. That's one.
Yeah.
Two, every year 1.2 million young people turn 18. But this is because of the population boom. They're turning 18 now because they were born in the early 2000s. Do you see that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If they were born in the early 2000s, when the promise and the glory of the new millennium, the millennium was young, there was hope, there was optimism.
Yeah.
They're turning 18 now. Every year for the next 10 years, this is what the population boom looks like. But when they turn 18, they need services, they need money, they need jobs, they need to marry, they need SIM cards, they need bank accounts, they need hope. But there just isn't enough of that to feed everyone. So yes, there is more money, but I think that the distribution is
Off.
is skewed, and it's not helping our people.
All right, now, Chris, just springboarding off what Colin has said. Colin has alluded to something with very many. He's packaged it very well, very diplomatically. And I'll tell you why. When we started, you mentioned France and their failing population that has gone negative. Now we've embraced a Western kind of lifestyle. Traditionally, as Africans, we had ways of, these issues were there, and we had ways of dealing with them. But now we have moved away and said, and that's why you guys are looking at me, but I'm being very realistic. There's certain traditions that we have got done away with, which are costing us as it is. Now, I'm having issues with my wife. I cannot get her sister to help me because it's frowned upon. It is wrong. Yet it was very normal. Don't you think there is room, and I say this tongue in cheek, for us to probably look at some of those things and embrace them, because we have a problem and we're not solving it?
Okay, so I'm sorry I'm going to disappoint you. Because I don't subscribe to your school of thought, and I don't think that that's the problem. I don't think that infertility has dropped because we're not traditional. Okay, the doctors may even tell you there's lifestyle things, like he's already said. Within lifestyle, there's things we eat and don't eat. There's a rise of weird diseases. Someone once said that everything that happens to us goes through the mouth. You know, what you eat, what, you know, so what we ingest, there's things there to do with how we're handling our bodies and stuff like that. But I want to speak into a few things. One is, you talked about westernization of Africa, quote unquote, you know. China is also not in the West, but there's a time when China had a one-child policy. And they realized that the population is not growing at a rate that's going to sustain them as a big internal market, because China was close to the world, but they grew because they had a market. The economy was working because they had people. You produce, there's consumers, etc. You know, the currency is moving, so money is being made. And so they actually reversed that policy, and they're still struggling to reverse that policy, but they've not hit the negative population growth like it is in some other places. What happened in some of these countries is that with the rise of women empowerment movement and that kind of thing, and the whole idea of my body is mine. I do whatever I want with my body. You know, that's the reason why in some places people have children and then abort them. So it's not even a case of not conceiving. It's a case of not going full term with a pregnancy. Okay, and the jury is out there. But you know, if you ask me, once someone is conceived, it's a person. So abortion, in my opinion, is taking life. But there's clinics that do that. Okay. And so much more, to a point that in some of these countries in Europe, people are paid. You know, as soon as they get pregnant, the government is paying them. They're paid lots of money they're given long leave, so that they're making it a sweet deal to try and attract women back to conceiving. Now, those are the people who have been giving us donor money. You know, whoever pays the piper plays the tune. Yeah. And that's the tune that they've been playing in our part of the world for 30 some years. So whereas I totally agree with birth control and a couple making decisions on how many children you would want to have, whatever your reasons are, I am also not asleep and ignorant of an agenda to sort of slow down Africa's population growth. And here's why. In 2100, World Bank studies and others project that one out of every two people walking the surface of the earth will be an African. That's scary business, right? It's really scary. I think it's projected that 1 out of every 4 Africans, if we continue that the same fertility rate, will be 1 out of every 4 people in the world will be an African by 2050, right? Uganda's census, when you look at our numbers, it's almost like every census we double in number, almost.
Yeah.
Not fine science, but almost. So it's scary when people are growing, even from a biblical perspective. Jacob and his sons with their children were 70 people who got into Egypt. And then it came to a point where they multiplied so much that they were a scary prospect. They were a threat, because when people are many, they're a threat. They're prospering, they're doing well. And so this Pharaoh, the new Pharaoh, gets an idea to enslave them so that they can find a way of subjugating them. Now, Africans, we have our issues, curse of Ham, leadership challenges, I think, which is our biggest problem. If you're a student of the Bible and of history, we are talented, we are gifted, we are so many things, we have leadership challenges. So that's why whenever there is a strong man or a strong woman in Africa, a strong leader, there's powers that quickly try to get rid of that person, because leadership is our problem, and wherever there's great leadership, we thrive. Okay, so we've had this whole thing going on. So a child is raised from nursery school. The movies, when they watch the cartoons on TV or whatever, it's daddy, mommy, brother, sister. So that's the frame. So yes, you're 7 kids at home, you're 13 or whatever, but the thing you're watching is saying a family is of 4. Okay?
Yeah.
So that overrides the reality you see and the reality you want to create. Let me bring it closer to home. I'm a product of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah? Because we've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted 2 kids. We were 4 when we were growing up with my mom. The whole entire family is 7. My dad had 2 wives. But I just felt 2 is enough. Whatever my reasons were. Now, I could have been influenced by that, but there's many people who are 2 or 3 years and no longer 7 years or 13 years or something like that. My grandma had, 12 kids, same one woman.
Yeah.
So I think that, and let's say this last piece. Also, as I've over the years done consulting or, coaching and things like that, here's what I've found. Every time you do a study in this country, there seems to be a big divide between the women who have not sat for P7 and those who have. And another big divide between the women who have done S4 and beyond and those who haven't. In other words, you're going to find any honest Ugandan who has been doing research and seen the studies over time, the increase in education for the girl child has brought more empowerment for the girl child, and therefore has brought more negotiation in relationships, and more openness to the options that the ladies have, and therefore, because they're the ones who are going to carry the baby 9 months, they're deciding not to, or to even space more. Nowadays, there's some people I know who space 3 years, others who space 5 years in between the kids. And yet, before it was like rabbits. One baby has just come out, another is in. So education is a big factor.
Throws out the other one from the breast.
Yeah.
Which was okay. But now, and I'll tell you why. Now, we're here at Sangha Courts having a tough discussion about fertility. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break.
Men. Men.
Well, Welcome back from the break. If you've just joined us, we are now talking about fertility and what it means to us as a society. Before I get to you, Colin, Frank, just one quick thing. Chris has alluded that there's a definite connection between education and women having children. Is that medically correct?
Maybe before I dive into that, the issue with fertility is more of a problem of the couples and the individuals. Actually, on the national, the global thing, people are fertile, generally, and they have to either pull down the handbrake to slow it down, or let it go, like in some nations. But for the couple, there are problems, as has been said. I can come from your angle, the empowerment of the lady who decides when to have sex, when to conceive, if to carry the pregnancy. They are very much empowered. And so whether that's a problem or not, that can be discussed. Whether it's good for the society or not, that can be discussed. But yes, the ladies are empowered. When you come back to the men, we're in slightly more trouble. Because physiology is how the body runs, indicates that our sperm count, which I alluded to, which is not the only parameter, by the way. There are many parameters which I'll be going through if time allows. But the total sperm count is going down. When I was in medical school in the 90s, the normal sperm count was actually 100 million per mil. By the time we're done with medical school, late 90s, it came down to 60 as acceptable. Later on in the early 2000s, that's these WHO recommendations. The acceptable one was 40 million. Then it came down to 20. Now, as we speak, they recommended the acceptable one is 15 million. That means
That's per meal.
Per meal, yes. So multiplied by the number of meals, the range, the average is about 1.5
It's a big
meals.
drop from 100 per meal to 15 per meal,
Yes.
15 million per
In
meal.
the last about 30, 40 years.
That's a big drop.
Yes. But that's what is acceptable.
But what has caused that?
That's a good conversation to have. One, we are dressed up more than our predecessors. Not only are we not naked, not only are we not putting on just shukas, which was the progression, we are putting on undies and boxers and jeans. That
Obviously,
increases.
these guys don't go out in Kampala nightlife.
Oh, that's nightlife. We're talking about day life.
Yeah,
In the office.
but the people who go out to
Like right now,
nightlife,
you're not.
They are
Colin, we are
for-
hoping that right now
yes.
you're not.
We are sitting.
that
no.
free.
It's,
You see?
it's a broken hope, that one you have.
The average
It's,
man gets out of his house, sits in the car. I live in Mukono. We are the kings of traffic jam.
Oh yeah.
We spend about 4 to 5 hours in the jam per day. Our record has been put at 45 days per year. We spend 1.5 months in the traffic jam. That is heat. Not only are you clothed and wrapped, but you're sitting.
Yeah.
So the heat around the factory. The testicle, where sperms are formed, the process called spermatogenesis. It's like baking a cake. It must happen at the optimal temperature. That is 34 degrees Celsius.
So the sac must be lowered to keep the temperature low.
It must remain mobile.
Yeah.
If it is cold out there, it goes up.
retracts.
Yeah.
If it is hot, it comes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for us, we have fixed it. It should be dangling,
Yeah.
like for a bull.
Yes.
And for our colleagues who have not yet started wearing.
But guys, we work with people. You cannot just keep showing up to work. in
Yes,
your trousers.
so you pay the price.
And that's the point. He's
So you-
saying
so now
that
you pay the price.
Modernization and
Yes.
how we're dressed
That's your sperm count is definitely going to go down. So not only is it being wrapped like a baby who must be incubated,
You're sitting
but it is being held against your thigh and against your groin. So the temperature, that's one. Our lifestyle, just the sedentary lifestyle alone is a risk. What we eat, these processed foods, the other contaminants, the pollution, the traffic jam, very big. Other lifestyles like smoking, drinking. Lucky enough, Ugandans, we don't smoke that much anymore. But all these things have come in and they have steadily reduced the sperm count. Now, let me quickly add what other parameters. So we talk about things like viscosity. How light is your sperms? They should not be thick. Your semen shouldn't be thick. The time it takes for it to liquefy, you call it liquefaction. It comes out when it's very thick, but should lighten up.
So it's like Ugandan oil. It has wax, and then you want it not to have
Probably.
wax.
I don't know what this is.
Then
Viscosity.
their ability to move, to wiggle around.
The swimmers.
Yes, the swimmers. Those guys should be mobile. Not only should they be mobile or motile, as we call it, but they should be motile and progressing at a certain speed. Then the structures. That little sperm is like a tadpole. It's got a head, it's got a tail. It must be a certain shape. It must be nice and cone-shaped. And then it must have a tail. So all these aspects of both the number of sperms and the quality of the sperms are determined by all these factors we're talking about. We have phones in our pockets.
Okay.
They vibrate. They send all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
We do our laptops. So much is
on
going
the
on.
Too much
all of
heat,
which.
too much vibration.
Yes. So that has brought down. So for the man, not only are they the modern man, not only have they been disenfranchised and taken the power to choose about family size, spacing, and all that, but poor man, his sperm quality is going down. So while he would have wanted to try every other night, the lady says, honey, I'm tired tonight. I've had a long day. A couple of years ago, that was not the case. If you wanted, you mounted. But now you must put in an application early in the morning, have a review meeting,
Flowers.
and then have it going.
And
wait,
maybe you
so-
might be considered.
So I wanna come back on and say, so I think that we're talking about the lifestyles that we're living. It's not the lifestyle, it's the life that we're in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you talk about your grandfather, who they only had fire from 6 when the sun set to 7, right? So that everyone could have supper and everyone goes to sleep. When you go to bed at 7:30, even the most resistant rogue by sunrise, we shall vaccinate, right? But now you have the advent of things like electricity. You hear the other person is in the living room, the other one's in the bedroom. They're scrolling. Oh. By the time this one sleeps off, this one. So you have come at midnight, you have to leave at 6.
At 6, at
The
4.
opportunity for vaccinating
It's very
very
minimal.
small.
Yeah.
And I think that those are some of the, I think that, but also these are acceptable. There are things that what I was talking about, the price that we pay for modernization and the quality of our lives. But I also want to talk about some nefarious characters, Peter. These guys who practice this thing called procreation coercion. And I was reading about it this last week on the internet about guys who say, me, I never allow my wife to just be there. So there was the time when men used to do this, right? They would just
Procreation coercion.
Yes, procreation coercion. They would just constantly make their wives pregnant so that then their wives were tired, but also never have a chance to fully
meander
realize
around,
and no, just like live normal lives. So you have 6 kids, you're 28, like
I'm a father of 6. So to get the compulsive. Carry on.
But it wasn't in 5 years.
No, it wasn't.
on men we say awonyiga onyo. So and this is the thing, right?
But that still happens to date. I've heard
No,
men
but
say
a lot
that
it's-
just give her a child and then she'll calm
That's
down.
what they say, and then they keep finding out that the guy is trying to give the child, but the vaccination is not catching.
Yeah.
And so, what Chris was saying, the education and enlightenment is sort of creating all this pushback, right? So women are making choices for themselves. They're saying, listen, yes, if she wants, she'll give back to 6 kids. But if she doesn't want and she thinks she has plans for her life and wants to go somewhere in life, maybe she won't. And I think that we also have to be ready for that conversation. So there is the male-female conversation that's happening, which is at the individual household level.
Yeah.
There is the female conversation, which is happening inside the woman's head, and her money and her and her feeling of safety and security about the future, right? Because also a lot less women are getting married now.
Sure.
People are finding that there's a whole worldwide movement called child-free. Like, it's a cool thing to be in your late 30s, child-free, making and eating vigorously your money. Yes? For couples, there is something called DINKS. Double income, no kids. It's a whole thing, right? Obviously, as people who are married and have kids, we look at those people enviously. And we just wish God would punish them with a blessing. but that's the reality. So I'm saying that to say there are social constructs that are emerging around this thing that are also shaping. And because of the internet, people aren't hidden from these things. They see, they read.
Yes, and I want to
and so they say, you know what, it's acceptable. So let me make this choice also.
And which now brings me to the positive side of this. Do you think you're better off, and this is just an opinion, having few kids? As in, if, let's say, it could turn back the hands of time and you had an opportunity to have 1 or 6 kids, which would you pick?
Me?
Yes.
Are you asking me?
Yes. You.
But this guy here has 6
No, we're getting
Why
to
did
it.
we start with him?
No, you.
No, Peter. Me, I'm perfectly happy with the children I have. But I want to go back to something I said in the first segment, where I said that married men, all these choices, all these environmental factors, they end up sitting on the shoulders of married men. Because married men are the biggest poverty alleviation program that has ever existed. They do more to uplift women out of poverty than the government.
As it should be.
Not in the way he's saying.
But Chris doesn't understand what I'm saying.
I don't know what he's saying.
Peter will explain to you.
Okay, guys. Now we have reached the tail end of the program where we have to wrap up.
Wow.
Now, I'll tell you what. What Colin is talking about is married men are supporting so many other women who are not their wives.
Nah.
Okay. Now you're saying it should
cannot
be okay. Yeah.
No,
because
with that understanding, it shouldn't be.
Because as I mentioned earlier at the beginning, married men are somehow very attractive. They looked at as stable, they're looked at as responsible. They're the kind of women other women will want to have a child with. So you end up in a situation where a woman will say, you know what, at least you'll be a good father. 1 or 6 kids, which do you think is, as you give us your parting shot, which do you think?
2, which I have.
You know, guys are being so defensive.
No.
I mean, yes.
No. So
Peter.
would you have more kids, Peter?
Given the choice, like the fresh start,
You would not have any kids?
No. I even with my
you would have
nieces and
lived your
nephews.
entire life and just eaten all this money.
It's
you have
fine.
made.
Let me tell you what. Even with kids, usually I give them 30 minutes. After that, we are not friends. I'm not good with kids, and I know it.
Yeah,
okay.
but
And it's
kids
who
are
I
not
am.
kids forever. They're kids for 3 years.
Peter, if you're not good with kids, it doesn't mean you shouldn't procreate.
Okay. Your parting shot.
Wow.
No,
See,
well-
1 or 6.
No, that's Peter's question. We know he's 1. We know Dr. Frank is
He's
6.
6.
Sorted.
Yes. And
I'll give my comment about that.
Yeah.
But I concerning fertility, my heart goes out to people who are trying and not succeeding, because we've not had a chance to talk about that. And I've talked to some, you feel the pain. It affects people at home, affects you in society. You looked at somewhere, the pressure from home and relatives and things like that. You feel like you're hollow, you're not complete and things. I understand your pain, and I'm praying that you'll find help and that you'll actually conceive. And I'm coming at that both as a pastor, but also as a coach in the business world. Sometimes you find people struggle even at work because of issues that are coming from home. So I feel your pain. I feel you. I'm praying that God will help you, bless you, give you a child, because we haven't talked about those who want and are not yet succeeding. But what I would say is be practical about it. Seek help. People like Dr. Frank and so many others are available to help you. I know a couple who tried having children for many years and didn't succeed, and now they have 2 sets of twins because of some medical help that came into place. So seek help and don't be ashamed about it. If you want to have children and you can, please have children. God bless you.
Fantastic. Dr. Frank,
Yeah.
but 1 or 6. A chance to start again.
I didn't set numbers when we were starting our relationship, and we just kept going.
You're a doctor and you can't count?
I didn't set numbers.
Okay.
I can count.
Okay.
So I could have gone beyond the 6 that we had. Maybe touch the number 7. 7 is a good number that I like. I'm the 7th born. I have so many sevens in my life. My name's letters are 7. I was born on a Sunday. There's so many sevens. But because my father had 7 kids, I said, let's leave that to my father. Let's leave that honor to him.
For generous.
Yes,
generous
things. But our stopping at 6 was because we had normal deliveries, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and unfortunately the last one, prolonged labor. No, there was no labor coming on, induction not working. She had a cesarean section, and we're like, what are we looking for? What trouble are we looking for? So that's what informed our stopping.
Okay.
And they are lovely kids. Kids are lovely to have, and the more the merrier.
When you say things like that, you must look at Peter.
But people should choose what they want. It's also good to have what you want and not feel like you are being pressurized. You're having children just because of society. For instance, among my 6 children, only 1 is a boy. You know what that means in some societies. I never let that get to my wife because I never allowed it to come out of me. And it's not a problem. There are many people who have 1 boy. And it means fine, and that's, I love my son. I've just dropped him at school. And God chose that out of the 6, 1 will be a boy, so I receive it like that. So have the children that you want. But also just speak like Dr. Chris about the people who want to have kids and they cannot have kids. It can be a big, big, big problem. There are some solutions, so come find help. But there are unfortunately also those who may never be able to father children. And then you got the options of adoption, sperm donation, IVF, all those options are there. And when you peel down this onion, so to speak, at the end of the day, it's your ability to accept this child into your family, raising them as your own. And we are copying the Western world, so things like adoption should be welcome. Things like having a sperm donation, hoping the wife will not say, hey, gana majite gai nange, something like that. Those are options of having a child in your home and receiving the love and warmth for just 12 years. And they're up and about and they don't even want to listen to you anymore. They are in their own world. And God always gives you the enablement to feed the mouths that you have put before him. That's my theory. If I've brought him 10 mouths, he will fill them. And in Africa, I'll end on this one, you may have 1 child, but you're taking care of 7, taking care of 10. If I'm going to take care of 10, at least let me have the majority vote. Let those 10, let 6 of those or 4 of those or some good number of those be the ones that have biologically fathered, if I can father them. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Asiimwe times 2.
Hey, this is serious. So, and maybe I need to, these Christian people, the religious types, you Christian people. Like Chris says, accept it and pray. Frank says, make peace. I find it unacceptable. I think that if you don't want to have kids, don't have kids, right? Mm-hmm. But if you have set your mind on having a child, then nothing in the known universe should stop you. And I was telling you, this is what I was saying about Christians. Christians, they tell them, you want a child, get up at 4 a.m., kneel beside your bed and pray. They say 2 lines, they sleep. Have you ever seen people who worship witchcraft? If they tell you to go and bring the gizzard of a tortoise, and I don't say that in the intent and moral nature of it, but I'm saying like those people are dedicated. They are thorough. They are meticulous. They tell you bring a purple chicken, you go, you find the purple chicken. And I sort of take that no holds barred approach. And maybe that's what I'm sort of telling our viewers, that be dedicated, be diligent about the thing. Then we can figure out what the morality is. But that's the best way to arrive at the end of your life fully satisfied.
Okay.
And if the morality can't add up?
You can also sort that out after.
Well, this has been an interesting one. The only thing that I don't agree is with what you said, Dr. Frank. Yeah. There's even a Swahili saying that speaks into that says, kila mtoto anakuja na sahani yake. Each child comes with its own plate. I say, that plate, yes, it comes with it, but it is empty. And it's you supposed to put it there, not God. But that's a discussion for another day. Now we're here having to wrap it up. It's been a very interesting show. Take care of yourselves. In slight way, I kind of agree with Colin, not about the moral bit, but if you really want to have a child, Dr. Frank has said it, you're going to have to be consistent for 12 good months. You did the mathematics. You said there's
150. Because it's 3 times a week times 52 weeks. So 100 and...
in a worst case scenario. So you've heard it from the men. That's insane. But okay, when you put it that way, that's like a lot of sex.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
You've heard it from the men. We need to wrap up here and call it a night. Stay safe. We'll see you next week on your favorite show, and that is Men.